SpaceX successfully conducted the long-awaited Starship test. The Federal Aviation Administration, FAA, had been criticized for possibly delaying the flight permit until the end of November, but SpaceX continued its work without waiting for approval. A few days before the flight, they attached the flight termination system, which includes explosive blocks and is used right before flights, to both Starship and Super Heavy. On October 13th, they announced on social media that they were ready for flight. After receiving the permit from the FAA on October 12th, they launched the flight less than 24 hours later. The 33 Raptor engines on the Super Heavy booster ignited, and Starship began to gain altitude smoothly. Within 1 minute, the rocket passed the point of maximum dynamic pressure, known as max Q. At 2 minutes and 40 seconds into the flight, Starship ignited its engines. As Starship continued its journey, the Super Heavy booster began performing the maneuvers required for its return. The rocket first used 13 engines to return, then continuously adjusted its position with maneuvering thrusters. Whether Super Heavy would land on the launch pad depended on the suitability of the conditions. If the landing tower and the rocket met the necessary conditions, a landing attempt would be made. If not, the rocket would direct itself towards the Gulf of Mexico and splash down in the sea. At 6 minutes and 30 seconds into the flight, conditions were deemed suitable, and the Raptor engines were reignited as Super Heavy approached the Mechazilla tower and its arms. With the help of first 13, then 3 engines, the rocket slowed down and adjusted its position before being caught by the landing arms, also known as the chopsticks. Although Super Heavy lost some parts during its final descent and the engine bay suffered minor damage due to extreme heat during re-entry and landing, the first catch attempt was successfully completed without any significant issues. Meanwhile, Starship continued its ascent. The vehicle, labeled number 30, shut down its engines after reaching orbital velocity and transitioned into free flight. Following a predetermined trajectory that would lead it to re-enter the atmosphere near Australia over the Indian Ocean, Starship's journey was monitored continuously and in high resolution thanks to the Starlink system. At the 48th minute of the mission, Starship re-entered the atmosphere. Some parts of the vehicle, which adjusted its position using fins and maneuvering thrusters, began to heat up due to the high-temperature plasma. The heat shields that had been deliberately removed before the mission and the parts that had broken off during launch started glowing as they were exposed to large amounts of heat at this stage. Additionally, one of Starship's fins started melting, though not as severely as during the 4th mission. Despite these challenges, Starship survived re-entry and made a soft landing at the planned location. After landing in the water, the vehicle toppled over and exploded. The vehicle's condition after tipping into the water was observed via a camera placed on a buoy in the area beforehand. In this highly exciting 5th mission, SpaceX achieved all of the goals it had set out to reach. After the mission, the Super Heavy booster was brought back to the launch platform. Although no official announcement has been made, the rocket may need to be partially or fully disassembled to examine the effects of the flight and landing, such as the wear and tear on the engines. The FAA also granted SpaceX another flight permit for this year, under the condition that the same equipment, mission parameters, and route be used. With this permit, SpaceX will be able to test whether the successes achieved in this test are repeatable.